Okay, so the contest is officially open, and I don't like calling it a contest because it's not really a, show me what you can do, and then the one who does it the best is the winner. So there's no way to really prove that you are the best at being needy. um, so those who really are in need of resources are the people who are invited to join this contest. So this contest is, I refer to it as a grant, very similar to a scholarship. And what you earn, what you win, is a tablet. And for those who don't own a tablet, I'll try my best to get you the best tablet on the market. I know that the Wacom Medium Intuos, the kind of the evolution of the bamboo, is currently the best Wacom in performance. The Intuos 5 is absolute, just it's just so ridiculous. Its drivers are garbage. Its buttons are completely in the way. The fact that it's not symmetrical doesn't mean that it can orient, like its orientation is both for right and left-handed people. But I feel like the large or the medium Wacom Intuos with the art pen, the whole art pen business with the tilt and whatnot, is the best one currently. So that's the one I'm going to be rewarding for the winner. The winner has to basically, let me just read through this and just announce it officially. So the My Transformation Grant is now open for applications. Your submission has to have 300 to 500 words describing your experience with my channel, and through that, through your description, whatever your description includes, that's pretty much what gets you the reward. Your application must be submitted to this community here. If you don't know how to get to this link, just go to istebrak.com. It's this little G plus. Open it in a new tab, and you'll have it right here. You have to submit it to the 2016-2017 My Transformation Grant category. And basically, what it is you get the Wacom tablet or any other competing tablet of equal value or more on the market. I'll be open to suggestions for different tablets, and if you guys use some amazing tablets that are really good for beginners, please feel free to recommend them here on this post. You will be given a free copy of Portrait Studio and free lots of my brushes, probably all of my brushes that I've designed, for free, of course, to get you started. And you get 2 of my sessions as a reward. I might push it up to 4. I don't know, because 2 seems a little small, but 2 is kind of enough for a portfolio review consultation. 4 is like a curriculum. With homework and all that business. So I just wanted to do 2 portfolio reviews, just again to get you started and what to work on in the coming months. And you can't go in blind. You have to, in your submission, post and explain. You can edit your submissions, by the way. Post and explain how you plan on tackling these issues that you know you have. So some of the things that you could talk about in your 300 to 500 words to win the grant is you can talk about what my channel has helped you with. What are some of the issues you still have with your work, and how do you plan on tackling them? Do you have any fundamentals you need to practice, and how will your art study schedule look like in order to take these challenges? This is a really, really important question. It's so important I kept it in the announcement. So these questions are really important to answer. I need to know how you're thinking about your studies in order for you to win this grant. But feel free to add information about yourself, like who you are, what you want to draw, like who your favorite artists are. You can post examples of their art, what your desired job title is for the future, your specialties, either portraiture, landscape, character concepts, etc. And if you have examples of how your work looked before, please post it, and it really helps your case. If you have examples of how your work looked before starting sessions with me, or not sessions, but classes with me, and even without starting classes, and just how they looked before, if you have a post and how you've progressed. It doesn't have to necessarily be only my stuff that improved you. If you watch other channels as well, that's fine as well. You can just mention them. And more than one recipient may be chosen for this grant, so there can be 3 winners, but only one of them really. I think the budget allows only one winner to win all of the gifts mentioned above. And anyone can join from around the world. If there is shipment errors or shipment issues involved in sending you the gift, I will try to access, like I will try to make a post about, if you live in Croatia and you can accept this money through PayPal and buy this person this tablet and ship it to them, I can send you the money so you can ship it to this person who also lives in Croatia. I don't think I can, like, I'm going to try to make sure that I don't need the third party to get you your tablet and to get you your stuff. Hopefully everything is just nice and easy through Amazon or eBay or something like that. But God willing, everything's just gonna go right, very, very, very smooth. I can't wait to meet a lot of you personally. A lot of you are posting, and I'm reading a lot about who you are and what you do. And I hope that the winner is truly someone who needs these things and is someone who works hard, who's already showing a great aptitude for study, and isn't just here for free gifts. I really, really want to stress that this is not a contest to get me subscribers. I have avoided making a specific video on it and kind of saying contest, win a tablet. It's really specifically a scholarship or a grant, and it's mostly for those students who are in need, who don't have many resources, students who would just love to get a tablet. I've had a lot of people support me through my life, and a lot of people just just give me a break, and I want to give the same break to other people that I got as well growing up. And I know exactly what it's like when you don't have resources, when you have zero referencing power and available to you, when you don't have a great internet connection because of your parents are just too cheap to get a decent internet connection so you can properly watch videos, when your parents want to get you the cheapest tablet available that breaks apart in 2 months and has driver errors. I want to know that. No offense to your parents, but I know your parents have bills to pay. But for those growing students who just feel very, very alone in their journey, I don't want you to feel alone. And this is a chance for you to speak up and really make a case for who you are and where you want to be in your art, and how important it is to you, how it's not optional for you to quit art, and how it's really something that you believe in. It's not just a side, a hobby. Those are the kinds of people I really want to help financially, and through their education, I want to be there for them. So that's it. My moderators and moderator, I'm not sure if I was going to get in on choosing the winner. I think he's really busy, but my moderator and I will be looking through these applications as they go, as they come in. And the end of this contest, it's kind of like a holiday contest, but really I need more time to look through everyone's application. So officially the submissions will end by December 31st. To the first to January 1st, like not January 1st, like the week of January 1st. So let's take a look at the calendar. So probably the submissions will probably stop. I will probably close submissions. I will announce it every single class from here to then. But the submissions will stop around January 6th, and then I will announce the winner mid-January. So I really recommend, if you guys don't hold back, if you really feel like there's a chance for you to win this, if you have a good word or two to put in about yourself, and you really feel like you need this tablet, even if you have a tablet but it's like a crummy little tablet that's taped together and the wires are all flayed or frayed or whatever, doesn't even then it doesn't have to be a really crappy tablet. If you just make a case for who you are and where you want to be and where you want to go. If a tablet isn't what you need, we'll find something else to reward you with. But it would just be better if someone who didn't have a tablet got the reward. But if you make an amazing case for yourself, and again, this isn't about selling yourself like lawyers or something, being your own personal attorney. I really want to see your art. I want to see where you're going. I want to see what you're doing. And just remember that the best salesman is an honest salesman. I'm telling you. That when you really just crack down to necessity and just show exactly what, from an honest perspective, where you're coming from, and just be true to your situation, without censoring it or fearing judgment or something like that, it will actually work for your benefit. Instead of building up a facade or saying that, or through pride or something like that, saying other things and not saying the true situation that you're in. If you don't feel comfortable sharing personal information about why you can't afford this tablet or why you need this tablet, or I don't know, anything. People come in all shapes and sizes, and sometimes this stuff can get a little personal. You don't have to join. You can also have the option of posting. I recommend really just using the transformation category, but if you feel like your situation is a little bit too sensitive, you can post it on Facebook. I don't want you guys to feel embarrassed by describing your financial status. If you're young and you don't have a job or you can't work or something like that, I don't know, whatever it could be. I really don't know. Feel free to message me privately on Facebook and I'll look through them as well. But that's it. It's officially open. I hope the winner of this gets what they need, and it's finally time to give back to you guys. And then finally, Portrait Studio, the final form of Portrait Studio is now available. We will be sending out the update as soon as possible, as soon as we iron out a couple more model issues. Like I said earlier, the errors that we have with Portrait Studio are not related. The last couple things that need ironing out are mostly tethered to Unity as the engine that we use for this. And Unity has errors with its lighting, has errors with its a lot of stuff, and we're just waiting for them to fix that on their end. We chose Unity because it's such a great engine to get all of these basic functions of Portrait Studio done. Okay, so I can't use this, Abu. I don't know how you sent me this thing, but I can't use it. I think you have to send me another one. Sorry, we're just going back and forth with these versions. We have like 1,000 versions on my desktop right now, and 1,000 versions in these what's it called? In these zip files. So we're trying to look through which one is the latest one. So the update will come out soon. But let me see if it was my problem. Skip. Abu, you gave me the wrong one. But anyway, let's get started on the paint over. Let's do what we're supposed to do in this session. And I'll get to Portrait Studio reveal officially. You guys saw some of it in the last couple sessions, but I'll get to it as soon as possible. Alright, so this is a cute little caricature bobblehead that's posted here, and I have a couple of issues with it. The face doesn't read to me. It reads as a very, very manly face. So I would love if you did use a reference to post this reference alongside, so that we can take what we want from the reference and then leave behind some other stuff. So what would the other stuff be? The perfect proportions, so the accurate proportions. The eyes would be the actual size they were in the photograph. Other stuff we can't take with us are wrinkles. If this girl did have laugh lines, it is for the benefit of the success of the painting to try to avoid using painting in these laugh lines with such a small little brush. You want to paint them in with a large brush. You can also, instead of having the line, just have the edge version of that laugh line. So right along here, instead of having that line, which is really, really aging her, it's making her look like a young, kind of, I don't know, kind of like a cougar old lady that just wants to turn everybody on, but she's way past her prime. No offense to old ladies. I'm really not trying to offend people's age here, but it's just that's kind of what I read. I'm just being honest. So what we want to do is replace this line with something else. I recommend getting rid of it completely. If in my reference there's someone hired me, especially if it was a personal friend, and they have these crazy wrinkles, I would, as the artist, as artists have done for years, omit some of the wrinkles. I would not let them know that I see their flaws. I would just completely get rid of them. You can still have them. Just take a look. You can still have them. They're still there, but on a much larger scale and a much more Botox scale. Get it? So it's not so bad that they've become actual little dents and wrinkles and scars on their face, which is pretty much what wrinkles are. Artistically, they're equivalent to having a scar. It's a small brush painted in with a sharp, small brush. It's a scar painted in with a sharp, small brush. So after, we still have the same face, but it's a much more youthful face. So that's the problem here, that you've thrown off a really, really different age for me. And me as the viewer, I'm reading this. Yeah, the viewer can be rude. The viewer will say, what is this, an old lady? The viewer will be way more rude than I am. And the people looking at your portfolio will be way more rude than I am. I love painting caricatures because it really gives me a chance to test how far I can go after twisting and manipulating the features in such a drastic way and exaggerating the features. But there are some things you just can't ignore. These rules are not broken through caricature, through realistic drawing, through photorealism. Photorealism, like maxed out photorealism, like seriously just pixel for pixel reproduction. You can have every single individual pixel. This black, right now I'm using my smudge tool on a scatter brush. This black right here that you used for the lips is just a big no-no. You don't need a black outline to represent the volume of the lips. You just need some edge work. So I'm going to start this base off with really just smudged out lip edges, because that's how they are organically. And these patterns on the lips right here, these are perfectly spaced apart. They look more like a deliberate pattern than an organic, randomized lip ripple or wrinkle pattern. So I'm going to blur that out as well. You can bring that out, bring that back later with a more randomized kind of different spaces apart, different sizes to represent the different ripples of the lip texture. Zoom back out, and now what I'm going to do is just treat this as if I'm just started painting. I'm going to go back to the molar geometry, zooming out and addressing all of the major errors that I'm looking at with a large brush, as if I just started painting. And that's really the best way to correct these issues, is to just zoom out as far as possible. Flipping the canvas is equivalent to zooming out, and zooming out is equivalent to flipping the canvas. Okay. So your shadows here, your shadows are very pale and yellow and brown compared to everything else. So what I'm going to do real quick, because I'm zoomed out, I'm going to grab some of her skin tone color that's purple and just toss it over the shadows. If her nose is big, it will be fine to keep it that way if she has a big nose, which is something you want to exaggerate in a caricature. You want to exaggerate what's big, make it bigger. What's small, make it smaller. Write that back to me. In a caricature, what's big, make it bigger. What's small, make it smaller. Alright? So what I'm doing here is right along the outline of the nostril, you had the same value here and here. That's wrong. Open folder. Oops. Alright, hopefully that should work. Alright, I'll show you Portrait Studio in a second. Here and here they have different volumes or different levels as exposed to the light. This one is beneath the nose, so it needs a shadow that is darker to represent that that part of the nose is completely facing away from the light source. Another thing that you have here is an expression, but it's an expression that's halfway delivered. So if she is kind of doing that flirtatious side look because she's sassy and comfortable with herself and confident, she should have a bit of an expression right here. So when I'm looking to the side, my eyebrow seems to get in the way, so I naturally lift my eyebrow if I'm looking to the side. Try it. Look to the side and see if your eyebrow doesn't do anything. The eyebrow gets out of the way so it can lift the shadow that's cast over the eye right now, so that you can see a little bit more. More light means more vision. If I don't, I kind of see lots of blurring. But if I do lift my eyebrows, if I look like she does, if I perform the same vision or perform the same gesture with my eyes, then this eyebrow does lift. So this feels more organic this way. Alright, so more expression, and more expression is definitely a good thing. It's more detail. So detail isn't necessarily only possible by shrinking our brush and creating edges. Detail comes out of more that's happening in the canvas. So the more that happens in the canvas, the more that's going on, the more detail you have. So write that back to me. Alright, so what's left? This secondary light source that you have here has to be this color exactly. So what I'm going to do is lower my opacity, grab the exact color of the light environment. Can anyone describe what the light environment is? And if you are answering this question, write my name, Istebrak, in full so that I could see your answer, or else it gets flooded in the chat. Say my name. Alright, so what I'm doing now is I'm getting some of that secondary light source. I'm giving it too much. I'm creating too much of a feed, because I'll kind of just tone it down a little bit later. But I just want to start with enough that I could just erase as I need it. Right. Yeah, now she looks even sassier, which means more is happening in the painting. And it's not necessary that you have to have like all this crazy shrinking of the brush and tiny little speckles. This little detail on the cheek did nothing. Do you want me to give you an actual measurement for what this did to the painting? Nothing. Zero. Absolutely nothing. The zilch, nada, I don't know, whatever the hell else word to use. Alright, so now I've kind of edged it out, and I'm just going to erase away as I need. I want to make it more intense here because the ground is here, so it's going to get harder here and softer as I go up. The more that's going on in the canvas, the more that the detail there is. It's not necessarily dependent on shrinking your brush and using all the methods to detail. So creating an edge, creating contrast, and shrinking your brush. That's not the only way to create detail. It is the way to create detail technically, but the way to make shit happen in your painting is by having more happen. So her gesture definitely adds more detail if she was just standing like that. The fact that she's wearing a purse, more information equals more detail. Write that back to me. More information, more action, more whatever the word is. So no one answered the question? Istebrak. A light environment is a light casting and bouncing off in a room or an object and on an object coming from a certain direction with all that defines with shadows that are caused by that as well. So shadows are also diffused. Good job. So light environment means all the light that's bouncing around in the room. So before you really didn't have a light environment, but look at this. She's standing in a big blue room and there's no blue on her face yet. So this is a very, very necessary little thing right here. But when we have a secondary light source, this is actually referred to as a secondary light source or diffuse. We do have a terminator line. Yes, that is the actual term for it, terminator. And what we do is we have to create this little line here that's a little bit darker than everything else around it, just around, because this is the leftover of the core shadow. The terminator, write this back to me, is the leftover of the core shadow. And I'm just going to thin this out as we go. Alright. Because it kind of tapers along the edges. Even on top of the terminator line it can taper. And it doesn't just get stronger down here, it gets brighter down here. She's also wearing a white shirt, so that's also causing even more of a bounce light of the light environment around her. Not necessarily the light source, the shirt being a light source, but it's definitely doing some work. The hair is a little bulky, and you're using a single width brush to create the texture of the hair, as if every single individual strand is following in formation one specific direction, which is very, very problematic. I don't recommend this at all. So what I'm going to do now is to make the face feel more organic and less like an actual bobblehead. I'm going to start giving a little bit more fuzziness around the eyebrows to make them merge with the space around them. And there's another reason why she feels so masculine. Like you can almost say it's a male who has a bit of a feminine face. But what can really carry her to the real feminine, to the real feminine face? It's this radially built brow bone. So I'm radially building this up. We need to see that she has a bit of a brow bone underneath her eyebrow arc. It's like a makeup signature. I'm not sure exactly which makeup era it came from, but it's very necessary for us to have this there for a female read in caricature, in the general cartooning niche or whatever. I hate that word. Alright. So I'm just thinking about where the light source is, which area is going to be the brightest. Alright, I'm just radially building this up. Radially simply means I'm using the brightest color with the smallest brush and pointing to the location of the light source. Use this brush here. Okay, I'm going to get some of this highlight right here and then brush it on top of the eyebrow. Her hair is going to look a lot more reflective and believable. And I'm also going to smudge certain areas of the eyebrows. Eyebrows don't just start and end in a perfect line. They fuzz out. They have a halo of shadow around them as well. They're not just perfectly drawn in Sharpie brows. They need a texture to them. This eyebrow here also has some shadow, some light under it, though it is a little lower than the other brows. It's not going to completely travel along the bone. So what's happened is this eyebrow has lifted above the bone line. The eyebrow doesn't determine where the shadow starts. Write that back to me. What does that mean? It means that just because there's a line here doesn't mean after this line shadows begin. No. What comes first? The eyebrow bone. The brow bone comes first. So if this lifts up along anything, it lifts up along the brow bone. This brow bone naturally has some light to it. So it's going to be under the brow instead of it being not anywhere near the brow. So this one right here is a little bit below the brow bone. So that's why it doesn't get as much as this one, because this brow bone, its highest point starts up here, or just a little bit below that. I'm getting a little bit more light here. Sophie, if you're doing stuff digitally, you can paint in grayscale. Oh, okay. Thought you guys were asking me a question. Alright. Other issues are the lash line. You have a lash line that's a little bit brown. You have the brow socket, like the eyebrow socket, and then the eye itself in that socket is a little bit, I don't know, it kind of seems like it's a line dependent thing going on at the same time as you're really trying to push your realism as far as possible, so it's hard to tell. Whenever you have a line, just get rid of it. Just manage it, find a way to merge it with the rest of the edges around it, because there simply are no lines. Try to find the equivalent, the edge, the form, the geometry equivalent of that line when you're painting. Alright, so this highlight right here, the light is coming from here. It's casting a shadow. Can anyone tell me, and I'll wait for your answer, what's missing here on the eyeball? If we have this cast shadow, what does it mean for this eyeball? Give it a water break. Alright, I need the answer. I'm gonna just drink on mute. Sorry about that. Damn it, I unmuted while I was swallowing. Fuck. Okay. Let's see if there's an answer. I hate this chat lag. I wish you guys like answered as soon as I asked, but I have to wait for the answers. I'm sorry. Streams are like that. Okay. Cast shadow on the eyelid. Excellent. Excellent, Cowlin. First to the party. So darken. Grab this exact shade. Go ham. And then make the shape that you think the cast shadow would take on the eyeball. And let me zoom back out. That looks wonderful. And then of course we just dull it down just a little bit. Okay? So when we miss cast shadows, we're missing geometric signatures. We're basically saying that this is the exact same level as the eyebrow. How is that possible if the eye is recessed? That is not possible. So please don't forget about your cast shadows, please. I beg you. The cast shadows are the one thing that will save your painting. If you're missing some edges, if you're missing some other stuff and you just have this cast shadow in the right spot, it just carries your painting home, because it's you're telling me that everything sits in a three-dimensional world. That things can be in the way of other things and can cast shadows in their shape. So this space here casts light upward and diffuses this area, so it becomes a secondary light source diffusion. Just think of these as like reflectors. Anywhere where you have a bright point, it works as a reflector. And this space here, so when cast shadows are cast upon an object, they no longer belong to the object casting them. They belong to the object on which they are cast. Write that down to me, for me. Alright, so that means that because this cast shadow no longer belongs to the nose, it now belongs to the cheekbone. It becomes diffused because this cheekbone, this cheek area is so bright, it's going to make this cast shadow bright as well. And cast shadows, another rule of cast shadows is they blur away the further they move away from the object casting them. So this whole section here gets blurred out. Because she's wearing lipstick, you can give this lip a little bit of an edge, but definitely not as sharp as you had it before. The skin still comes first, and then the makeup. because the light is casting shadows this way, after this Cupid's bow we will have some shadows. This Cupid's bow and this Cupid's bow are not of equal value. This needs to be cooler, and this half needs to be darker. So I need to zoom out to make sure I'm not going too dark. Just like that. Okay, so the lower part of the eyes right here, cast shadows belong to the object they are cast upon, not the object casting the shadow. So because they belong to them, they inherit their shape. So if this was a rippled chip and it had a cast shadow on it, the cast shadow would also be rippled because it belongs to the surface on which it is cast. If that is a really, really bright object, it's a white ripply surface, it's going to be diffused and ripply. If it's a pure black suede jacket and it has a cast shadow on top of it, that suede jacket isn't going to be able to reflect any light back, so the cast shadow will not show. This nose nostril just seems to be defying all odds. It's like a underdog nose nostril, and it's refusing to be governed by the laws of physics, and it's like, no, I shall not be silenced. I shall not be darkened in this area, even though I do belong in this cast shadow. This is lower than this, so this means that it's going to be darkened just down there, just like that. Just out of the way. See you later. Alright? It just can't just get lighter because it's just the nostril that's very, very proud. It's like a veteran and it refuses to. I don't know why I'm seeing these stories in my mind. And I'm just basically saying that this cast shadow is like rebellious. But it just seems like such a little rebel. And we just have to just put it back in formation. Back in the rules of physics. This cast shadow, this is covering everything below it. This nostril is not visible because it's lower than the tip. So this one is also low, therefore it is going to be in a shadow. And that means that this illumination plate right here is going to be bright. There's going to be a secondary light source just over here revealing this cast shadow. They're revealing this nostril, so don't worry too much that the nostril is completely drowned out. If an object is drowned out by an appropriately, like an accurate core shadow, don't worry. Don't freak out. Don't just make this nostril defy all odds and rebel against the norm and get brighter even though the core shadows are saying something else. You're outlining with your highlighter here. Give your secondary light source diffusion a chance to reveal objects that are completely hidden under a core shadow. Sometimes it's nice to just hide something under a core shadow. It makes sense. This brow area is recessed. It needs shadows in between the eyebrows. Zoom back out, test that out. And then this highlighter here that you have, I'm going to push it into yellows just a little bit more. Get a new layer. So this is exactly what this color looks like right here. It's kind of like a yellowy peach. This is the exact color of the light source. Maybe even more yellow actually. So this is the exact color right here. I'm going to use that everywhere on the face in a really, really low opacity using a soft brush. And I'm doing this because the light source has been the same color the entire time. And the skin has a very defined, like minute, but definitely there, mirror-like behavior. It has an oil to it, so it's reflecting this color consistently. So just take a look at what that's doing to the face. Alright? It's making the face feel like it belongs to the same light source all around it. This exact color I'm going to use on the hair as well. Just throwing it everywhere. And hair illuminates on a curve, so if you haven't done the curve, you need to do it. Just like that. Hair illuminates along a curve, so this means that the light source has been there the whole time. You've proven the light source's presence by using the same color, the same exact shade the entire time to illuminate everything. The position of the eyes is fine, but the cast shadows are not available for some reason on the lower eyelid. Eyelids don't have any shadow to them. So they need a little bit of shadow just along here, just to show that they're just have volume on their own. Sorry, give me a sec. I'm just getting updates. Okay. So I'm using this exact same shade everywhere. You don't use a different shadow color for the eyeballs as you do for the, you know, for one eyelid versus another eyelid. You use the same thing. It's been the same skin the whole time. This cast shadow is also necessary. So darken layer, new layer, put it on darken mode, grab that shadow color, and then cast it on for the other eyelid. Zoom out, test your choice. And it seems pretty accurate. These cast shadows here are pretty sharp because they're very close to the object casting them. Alright, gonna merge that back down. And, alright, another cast shadow over here from the lips. My mods, make sure that people stay on topic. Where's my mod? Put your hand up. You're lost in the crowd. I can't see you. Marco. Marco! Alright. Make an even sharper edge right here, because this edge is like a paper edge. It just reaches all the way. And then that exact highlight, I'm going to grab it, throw it on the lips. Just slightly, and then make it a little bit like small and sharp, just around the wettest part of the lip. And I'm going to grab my saturation tool and just saturate the lip along the area that does have that light. Maybe even cheat in the presence of a dodge tool, because lip gloss kind of does this strange little neon sparkle glitter, so you can get away with using dodge tool in certain areas. There you are, Marco. Marco, they want you to say polo when I call you, so we have to give these people what they want. So yeah, Marco, just get on that. Alright. What you can do for the lips is take a look at what I'm doing here. What you can do is completely just, remember that black line you had? Just completely replace it with an edge. Alright, so what we do is we carry this color all the way down. Yeah, we'll darken it when we need to, but this will look a lot more realistic because we have a real edge there. So what I do is I lasso, like I do, the exact edge of the upper lip. I edit it according to how I want that edge to look. I keep this lasso on as long as possible. And I shade and do what I want to do with this upper lip, so I grab, let me just, for the sake of time, grab a burn tool. Damn, burn tool, so big. And just darken it radially the lower I get, and then select inverse, fix the outside of the edge, and then cast a shadow off that lip as well. So I zoom out so I can cast the right shadow off that lip. This way I've never touched an edge. I mean, I've never touched the outline ever, or the line itself. I'm just casting shadows and working with edges. The lips look a lot more realistic this way. Of course, the lasso edge is very unrealistic. Lips are a little bit, not hairy, but frilly. Like, lips, I always compare them to, you know that pastry that's flaky? What's it called? Flaky pastry? Puff pastry. Lips are really similar to puff pastry, especially when they're dry. So they have this puffiness to them, like a paper kind of edge that's all bent about and kind of fucked up. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. But I've always compared lips to puff pastry, always. You know, like that like Russian pastry with the like minced meat in it or something. Anyways, trying to pass the time. And I'm just trying to get rid of edges here, casting some shadows. More work is definitely needed everywhere, but I feel like all of the major structural changes, the mechanics, have been corrected. And let's go back all the way and just take a look at these changes. So before, do you see how that black made her look really old, and these laugh lines made her look really old? This nostril, this devil may care nostril right here that follows no rules, that needs no man, completely outside of the core shadow. Her face now looks and feels alive, and now this is a great place to go in detail. So if you wanted to add in some lashes, feel free. I actually recommend bringing a black in for the lashes. Lashes are one of the only places that get as black almost as the pupils. Okay, I recommend some extra little makeup on the cheeks, like some redness on the cheeks. So the color that you choose, you don't just go in here and find a new red. You just grab the exact color you had on the lips. Take it from me, I worked in makeup. You just don't get two different shades of rouge on a face. Use the same shade the whole time. It's really, really cheap to make it that your lips have a different shade in red. If you are going for a red lip, than your cheeks. It does not look good. It looks kind of like gross. Alright, so I'm just adding some of that redness on her cheek to make her look a little bit more alive, and it's the exact same shade as the lips, so it's barely there. It's hard to notice because it's the same shade, so it feels like it's been the same girl the whole time. There hasn't been any real presence of makeup in the painting. The edge of the nose right here needs some work as well, because it is not sharp enough to indicate that this is one object in front of another. So this is when we really go crazy and have this edge there, just like that. This is a really important edge. And because the cheek kind of dips down, it gets a little darker as well. So we need a little bit more of an edge. Thank you, Naomi. Okay, yeah, like pierogies. Something like a pierogi, I don't know, but it's like it's used for sweets and savory. It's like a puff pastry, I don't know what it is. I had it in my friend's house and she was Russian. Anyway, I'm just gonna keep doing this. And I'll look at some other work today. This isn't the only piece I'm gonna look at, so don't worry if I haven't looked at yours yet, if you saw me pick it. I'm just connecting these edges here, making sure that this is tapered. And this is what I do. Once I'm done, if you guys have ever watched me draw or paint a caricature, I haven't done one of those in a while, I really miss them. This is what I do in like the first hour and a half. Like in the first, I don't know, like in the real bulk of the painting process goes into determining the geometry. And this is why I will always recommend it, because as I teach you right now, I'm on edge because I'm just like, what am I going to say to these people? You know, I don't have a script. I don't come in with a script that's pre-written and made and so I can sound eloquent. One thing that's guiding me as I teach you, that's how amazing they are the geometries. I just see some rectangles and prisms and cylinders, and those guide me along where the edges are and where the shadows are. So believe me when I tell you, these are the real deal. These are what's really gonna, they're really gonna help you attain your goal of realism, in whatever degree you need it in. Alright, so that's a nice little edge there. Don't just try to force the visibility of the, don't try to force the visibility of the other nostril, please. It's not necessary. Alright, and this nostril doesn't need an outline, it just needs a gradual tone and a cave made radially. That's it. This nostril just needs a little bit of an edge. Right there. Select inverse. I don't think that's right. I think that's all wrong, but I can correct it. Just have to make sure this nostril matches this one, so the high point of this one, unless she has deliberately asymmetrical nostrils, if that's the kind of caricature you do. Some people just make all kinds of weird choices with their caricatures and they get away with it and it looks great. Because it's a caricature, no one's gonna just tell you, hey, these proportions are wrong. It's a caricature, you know, no one's gonna have the balls to try to critique a caricature. The only way you can, as I'm doing now, is by looking at, not the proportions, not saying this nose is too big or the eyes are too big. It's just by looking at the form. So the rules of physics are the only thing that are consistent and unchangeable no matter what you're drawing. And if you break them, just get ready to know that your art has permanently entered the category of abstraction. If you're going to use physics, if you're going to cast shadows, and you're going to have cast shadows, you're going to have a light source. And if you have a light source that is an active light source, you're going to, in all its physics, you're going to have the physics as a mandatory presence in the painting. I don't know what this line is doing here, but just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. Do you guys want me to have cancer? Do you want me to never come to classes again? Do you want me to cancel the classes? And just have, just like a memory, you're going to just have my videos as a memory of the times we had together. If you don't want that to happen, if you don't want this cautionary tale to ever come to life, then stop using lines, or else I'll just get sick, you guys. I've been sick lately. Do you want to know why? Because of all the lines I've encountered in my career teaching. That's what it's been making me sick. Right? These lines, these confounded lines. Man, that was dark. I'm so sorry. But seriously, stop using lines. They mean absolutely nothing. They're just garbage. They're just useless for the form, useless for the painting. Now, one more thing I need to do is I need to lasso this whole business right here, because this whole sphere, this ball of her head, doesn't have a core shadow. Did anybody notice this? Whoever noticed this says, notice this, you get an imaginary sticker. Okay, so like I'm trying to find what makes these sounds on my desktop, and I don't know what it is. It's not Facebook. It's not. I don't know. All right. So it stopped streaming. Oh, so that's what it was. Oh shit. All right. Lines are cancer. Yes, they are. Did this just threaten cancer if we didn't get rid of our line dependency? Yes, I threatened that I would get cancer. Cancer is not a joke, okay? Everybody just stop. Everybody just stop laughing, because cancer is not a joke. I'm done. I'm done with this joke. This joke is officially aborted. And abortions are not a joke either. Fuck. Everything just has to be so politically correct nowadays. Can you guys hear me? Have I reconnected? I don't know. I'm just gonna keep recording because the recording is uncorrupted when I. So you started. I'm sorry. All right. So select inverse. Select inverse. This needs to be cooler. You don't darken a yellow by making it a darker color. I mean warmer. Sorry. You darken it by grabbing the next best color that looks good as a dark, but beside yellow, which is orange. So you darken this with an orange, and that way you have that subsurface scattering that comes with blonde hair. Alright, which means subsurface scattering just means saturation and illumination. Anyway, back to the face. This whole face didn't have a core shadow, ladies and gentlemen. We need to have a bell and someone yell shame while we march behind the artist behind this. I'm not sure who it is. Alright, so what I'm going to do is radially descend the face. I'm going to try to get back the secondary light source, don't worry. I'm just descending the entire structure into a shadow, and I'm going to relieve the shadow wherever we had some, it's a beard shadow I call it, wherever we had some areas that through their elevation disrupted the core shadow. So we have this now. Select inverse and go back to this business and just fix those edges because we have some edges here. Because I didn't lasso it exactly. Go back over here. And then just erase wherever, radially erasing. So we grab that soft brush again. Radially erase away at the core shadow wherever we had an illumination. Of course, erase away where the secondary light source was. And then because we're zoomed out, we can really tell how dark we needed to go. So I'm going to radially erase. And if this light source here is bouncing up and causing some secondary light source, why isn't there any secondary light source out here? So I'm just going to go ahead and do that as well. Grab this color, soft brush, hide the marching ants, and then just introduce some secondary light source around her face. Just like that. Desaturate that. It's already so dark. Alright, that's fine. Why does it look so blue? Okay, the nose gets a little bit, but the nose is already so illuminated it's not going to get that much. Just a little bit of extra secondary light source over here. And then the core shadow, which was very, very necessary. And then the light on the extra color on the hair, because the hair was the wrong value. Select inverse. Okay. Oh, whoops. Oh, fuck. Alright, that's fine. I can redo it. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this to look perfect. Alright, core shadow. No, wrong one. And you can exaggerate these expressions even more if you want to. It's not absolutely, there are no rules when it comes to caricature. Alright? So the face looks a lot more realistic. I would even make, I would go to the lengths of making this bridge even more bright and bringing in more realism to the eye. Making the eye feel like it's a little bit more, like has volume. So just having a little bit more light around these areas here, just to make it look like it has a little bit more volume, and then blending those out. So zooming out is really, really important. Please don't forget how important it is for your drawing, for the health of your drawing. Alright. So those are my changes for this. I can't get into the body, but great gesture. Really, really great work. Okay, and then another thing that I wanted to talk about is this one. So you had an amazing like a kill streak with these 3/4 views that you had. But then there's this error here that I didn't expect you to make, which is how far off that distant quarter is from where it's supposed to be. Its orbit is just completely out of place. It needs to be tucked back in. It had too much protrusion and altitude, considering that it was something that was subject to rotation and compression. Alright, so all that I really needed to do was just that. I needed to tuck that face back in. It was really orbiting out right outside. So this cheekbone is really defined, so it's going to have a bit more definition on the sides because she's got a large shadow down here, very large. Squint your eyes. This is a big old shadow right here. It means that there's a massive depression, and that's why I needed to tuck that in like that. I feel like this eye can be even more hidden by the nose, but it's not necessary. She could just have a smaller nose. But do you see how far off it was? This eyeball was nearly the same size as this one, and that's not permitted. Alright, so if I did move this eye a little closer, I might feel inclined to hide this inner corner, but the inner corner isn't always hidden. It isn't always hidden in there. If you were to soften this shadow just a little bit more, so if you soften this shadow, we can go back and bring the old cheek that you had. Alright? But it's either this or this or this. These cheeks have to move together. It feels like we're sculpting, right? Like we're on Portrait Studio and we're just raising the cheeks up and down. Because they're moving so in unison, they make so much sense together. When they're indented, they have a shadow. The reason why students don't get this right away is because they don't rotate in their minds. They don't think of this as a side view or a cross section of the contour lines that stretch across the face. But let's take a look at Portrait Studio. I can't go through every single piece today because we're already hit an hour. But I will try my best to get to the rest, I promise. It's just that the more I learn, the more I have to share, and the more that, I'm not sure which one to keep for you, to be honest. Probably just keep them both and send you a PSD if you want it. Desktop, nah. Okay. So let's take a look at Portrait Studio. Okay, so this is the final form of Portrait Studio. It is the final ass form. Alright, download this one if you want. Oh, okay, so there's another one. Oh, okay, so it wasn't downloading. Okay, so there's one that has a skeleton model and one that doesn't. I'll open the skeleton model. Okay. Sorry, there's just so many versions, like I should just got through 3 just in this hour. Run. Play. Alright. Come on, Portrait Studio, let's do this. Let's do this together. Okay. Okay, there's no menu. You sent me another faulty one. What happened? Did I click it twice? Oh, never mind. We're good. We're good. Okay, so where is the Skeletor? Alright, there we go. Sweet. Very nice. This is the first time seeing the skeleton, so I'm just as surprised as you are. We will probably have the skeleton move. It's easier to rig a skeleton than it is to rig something with skin on it. But anyway, let's talk about Portrait Studio. What are some of the updates that we covered together? We changed, and then we covered them together last time, but these are some of the changes. So we have expressions now. We have expressions, we have dimples, we have smiles. Woo, woo, woo. We have like a full smile. This is like kind of a smirk. So it's like a half smile. So we gave you power there. We have a frown. And then we have 2 very key starting points for your expression, which is happy. So the eyes squint just a little bit. And you can raise the lips upward if you feel like the lips need to move up. So when I do expressions, I feel like the lips go up just a little. And then we do have a sad. So we have squinted the eyes and the eyebrows in that way. Poor guy. This is what happens to him when you guys use lines. Please, don't use lines. Alright. So, default. He's very handsome. I modeled him myself, actually. No, I just edited the previous model, but I did make a lot of changes. Alright, so we have angry brows, sad brows, flat brows. Damn, he's so handsome no matter what he does. And then we have kind of like a raised brow bone. So the brow bone itself, skeletal wise, it's raised upward. We have the inner raised up, so if it's a natural frown this person always has, so he could just have a permanent bitch face. Then we have one on the left that's raised, one on the right that's raised. If he just raises one, like Mr. Darcy. And then we have lowered eyebrows that are a little bit more, I think it's like a Neanderthal brow that we have here. And I really can't go through every single one, but the major ones are the head tilt. So you can have this model pose like you want him to. He's your bitch. He'll do whatever you want him to do so that your painting has the right amount of referencing. Kind of doing like a little Michael Jackson thing. I need to do the default real quick. Oh no, the default is just for... See, this is why I asked you for a default button for the head orientation. Now I have to do this back again. Alright, anyway. You have full power. There's like nothing left that we haven't added except the body rig. As I told you, there are lots of errors, actually not just some, that we have to iron out. Because Unity doesn't just transfer perfectly from Maya. So a lot of the functions that are available to us to execute all of these needs are not transferable between Maya and Unity. Alright, the female model as well. The same model we had from last time. You press E to rotate on the Z-axis, R to rotate on the Y-axis, and press both to rotate everything. It will not rotate out of screen. You'll have nice control over that. Q to zoom. You can control the zoom speed right along here, so zoom speed. If you want a bit more like of a slow zoom speed, which I do like very much. I don't know why it's so fast by default. Nice zoom speed right here. Pan speed. You can control all kinds of stuff. You can have motion blur when you're moving these. So motion blur will work better for people who have low-end computers if you can't have every single frame. Bloom world axis marker lets you know exactly how you're moving your object. It's like a little indicator. You can also use your pen tablet on this. You can save your presets here. We have all kinds of models, low poly, high poly, all the form study shapes that I've used in my paintings. There's some form studies for you, back to the male. And then you have control over the lighting. So you have all kinds of power depending on the kind of lighting that you need to express in your painting. So you have pin lights, which are available. You can turn off the grayscale, by the way. This is without it completely grayscaled. The pin light. Ooh, look at that lens flare. Alright, so let me just turn him on. You can give him a color. Woo, woo. Just like that. So having the light at this quality, it was very, very difficult to pull this off on Unity. Unity is just like this really mean thing. Okay, so if you really need it, you can move these things. Oh yeah, you can move it along the z-axis as well to be really, really close. You can turn off the indicator. Really, really close to the face or behind the face. I usually put pin lights on the cast shadow section, on the cast shadow side. Because wherever there's a cast shadow, that's where I have the pin light. Or point light, sorry. I keep calling it a pin light. Fuck. And then z-axis. X-axis and z-axis is actually the z and x on the keyboard. Right, so that's what I usually do. You have control over the universal light source. Damn, baby. So this is what I mean by those hairy shadow acne areas. This is all Unity. There's very little control that we have. You have a full body as well, by the way. But there's very little control that we have as the programmers and the writers of this program over. We have very little power over Unity. There's only so much we can do. There are a couple more changes left to be done. We have a couple more UI changes. We're gonna have to fix this little guy. I'm going to work a little bit more on the normals, just because we can bring in more detail for the normals without sacrificing, without using too much memory or something like that on the original model. Plus, I mean, I really wanted to use the high poly version of this, but Unity also doesn't allow you to use past a certain poly count, because usually computers can't even run that stuff like real time. So there are a lot of limitations with Unity, a lot of limitations with your computers, lots of limitations with what we know how to program currently, because we're just a small team, and we're bringing in as much talent as we can, but at this point we're just very, very again, just limited resource-wise. So we're going to keep researching, finding ways to fix this. If you are a modeler or a programmer and you have like a recommended fix for some of these errors, feel free to let us know, but we are definitely on it, and this program just gets more and more powerful as it goes. There's going to be a body rig for the skeleton and a body rig for the actual body, so they're going to be posable bodies. Eventually we'll bring in skin maps, so wrinkles, scars, all kinds of stuff, but it is in development. It's constantly growing, and we'll try to bring you as much power over your reference development and reference generation. Thank you everyone for watching today. If you guys are interested in anything that I do, please go to istebrak.com. Click on this Google Plus link right here to join the Google community to submit your post for the contest, or just submit work for Critique Hour. YouTube is where I post all of the recordings if you guys are interested in those. We'll be watching them. Facebook is where you can get your work sent back to you if I did critique your work today. Twitter and Instagram is where I post some of my recent work, and Twitter is for announcing class hour changes. Sorry about the 30-minute delay today. I was just a little bit ill. Yes, I absolutely am high off Dayquil, and I chug that stuff for you guys because I love you. What's the medicine name? Dayquil. I had to take that stuff, man. Anyway, I will see you guys next class. Good luck on all your work and good luck on your applications. I can't wait to read some of them. Bye bye.